wanted to ask you about one thing you mentioned at the beginning. You said for that moment, for walking off the floor as you guys did, that you feel you've paid a significant price in your life. What did you mean by that?
Well, as Jalen sits here with his Detroit shirt on, representing, Detroit proudly. I represented Detroit in the west side of Chicago where I came from. And, you know, the fact that I have to sit here today and Jalen, Chris Webber, Steve Smith, who I work with, you know, the the hurt that those guys feel for me having to be in this moment. Uh, I apologize to them in Detroit for all of us in this moment. Um, because as a leader of the team and as a leader of that community, why I'm personally hurt is another reason why I'm here. Because being left off the dream team, that personally hurt me. In 1980, I was on the Olympic team. As a matter of fact, I was voted the male athlete of the year in 1980 for the USA Olympic team. And, the only thing that's missing from my resume is not being on the dream team. Now, when the dream team was selected and I wasn't a part of it, there was a lot of controversy around it. And I still don't know, who did it or or why they say I didn't make it. I know the criteria for selection of making a team, I had fit all the criteria. And and that's a big hole in my resume. That is the biggest hole in my resume. That is the only place and that's the only thing on my resume that I did not succeed at. I graduated from college. I got a master's degree in education from the University of California at Berkeley. On the educational side, I've succeeded. In the sports arena, I've won at every level. And, I tried to do everything correctly. And I thought I should have made that dream team. However, I wasn't a part of it. That hurt me. And looking back, if I'm not a part of the dream team because a lapse in emotion in terms of not shaking someone's hand, if that's the reason why I didn't make the dream team, then I am more disappointed today than I was back then when I wasn't selected.
Isiah, you're a legend, you're an idol, and I appreciate your humility and being willing to apologize to the city of Detroit and so many people that are fans of the team and yours, but you owe us no apology. You put on for us like no other. I saw you out there with a busted ankle, hobbling around, giving us buckets, giving your life. I saw you drive to the basket and suffer a ferocious elbow from Karl Malone that busted your eye open and had you out there looking like a boxer. And you still continue to put on.
Can you say that again? Wait, can you? Because this generation thinks that the only one who was getting hit back then was Jordan. And Greeny, you covered a lot of those teams.
Sure.
I can say on this television station here today, there is no player during that period of time that got hit and punished more than myself. And I have all the scars to prove it.
Correct. And that's why I brought that part up, Greeny. And another thing about him being left off the dream team, they took our head coach, Chuck Daly. We had just won back-to-back championships. They took our head coach and left our NCAA champion, NBA champion player off of the squad. And lastly, I have to say this. Here's another thing that his legacy suffers from, and this is what pains me. When we start really highlighting who are like the top 10 or 15 players to ever play in the NBA, y'all need to start putting some respect on Isiah Thomas' name. And the little guard conversation, that boat is sailed. I love Steph Curry. I love Allen Iverson. I love those guys. But Isiah Thomas had to go against Magic, Jordan, Bird, and we sleep on the Cavs. They were really good with Mark Price as well, and you brought up the Sixers. So for all of those war wounds that you put on for the city of Detroit, you're an educated man, you're a disciplined man. I appreciate your humility after watching last night's documentary.
Thank you. And Greeny, you guys, y'all had a poll up, earlier, I think with Brian when he was on.
Yeah.
And you asked him who was the last team to defeat an opponent after losing to him 3 consecutive years.
Yes.
And that was the New York Knicks. Now, this is the interesting thing to me. After the Detroit Pistons, the Knicks took on the Pistons' bad boy identity. The Miami Heat took on the bad boys' identity. And there were a lot of teams that took on our defensive identity, our offensive philosophies, and everything around the sport that we brought into the sport. You can trace it back to one team, and that is the Detroit Pistons. Bill Laimbeer set the record in the Portland series. I think he made 5 consecutive threes. And at that time, Greeny, a center shooting from the three-point line was unheard of, right?
Yes.
I still hold the record for the highest field goal percentage in that Portland series in the NBA Finals. I think I shot like 68, 69% from the three-point line. We were a team that played outside in. Now every team has a center that shoots a three. Every team has a little point guard that, and has 3 guards. I mean, so the influence that we've had over the league over the years has been astronomical. However, everybody could play like the Pistons, but the Pistons.
I have to leave it here because the show is literally going to end. Isiah, I'm told you're going to be on First Take later today. I can't tell you how much we all appreciate you doing this. Thank you very much, Jalen.